Right. So let's go in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, here we are with the Root Warzone. We are covering the losers matches. The players have already played their first matches in the... would you call this a group stage? I think that's what it is. So now the losers are playing each other. This time we have Root SUGGY, all caps, against MTW Dimaga. Protoss versus Zerg on Lost Temple. Loser of this is out. The winner will still have a chance to qualify into the... is it a top 8 bracket?
No, it's a top 16, I believe.
Oh, top 16 bracket. So we're just going through group stages, trying to eliminate some players. And, you know, SUGGY and Dimaga are fighting for their survival at this point. We'll see how this goes. We are not in the close ground spawns, so Dimaga is going to feel a little bit more comfortable when he catches this. SUGGY does a good job of catching that Overlord with his probe, going all the way out to the edge, probably because of Cats, who likes to send the Overlord only partially there to catch the probe. But he does see that Overlord coming. He knows that his opponent is going to be over at the 9 o'clock position, and he's going to go scout that ASAPly.
Indeed. Important to notice, SUGGY hasn't been playing much lately, so I don't know what to expect of him. I would expect him to be the underdog against Dimaga, and maybe try something funky. But as we know, Dimaga is sometimes so gimmicky and does all this weird stuff that he might just try and play it as standard as possible and be as careful as possible. I have no idea of any of the results of these matches except for my own. So this should be rather interesting. Dimaga opening with a fairly fast pool, favoring that over an expansion.
Yeah, that's pretty common right now versus Protoss, just because people like cannons a lot at the moment, especially the cannon gateway push with zealots included. If you go hash first, can be pretty tricky to hold off if you don't play perfectly. So a lot of Zerg players have been dropping the pool against Protoss recently. You can see SUGGY is dropping the Cybernetics core instead of the Forge. So he's not going to be going for that sort of a pressure build.
SUGGY complaining about lag, but I don't feel any lag. So he's...
Oh, you're funny, Cats.
Thanks, dude. So we're gonna see SUGGY scouting Dimaga. Nothing too interesting going on right now, really. Dimaga is just droning up. Kind of a late gas, considering how early his pool was. I can see why he's not too worried, because he has an Overlord there, so he's not too worried about Stalker harass, it seems. But that's a pretty... Wow, BM! That's a pretty common strategy that a lot of Protosses have been opening with. So I personally like dropping my gas a little bit early, just to be safe against it. But Dimaga very smart, having an Overlord there for as long as he possibly could, to get all the information that he could possibly need.
Yeah, so you can see that Dimaga has a lot of resources saved up, getting up to 500, making a lot of drones to make up for that, but not entirely, and adding down some spine crawlers as well. So he's playing rather defensive, just going very, very heavy on the drone count, going for an economic game, which, you know, when you're playing Dimaga, that could be unexpected. He's very well known for his aggression and being able to basically fix any problem with banelings, that sort of a thing.
So you paused there for a second, but okay. Anyways, there's only 30 seconds left. Wow, Dimaga pulling out the rules. I'm trying to BBM.
No, I mean he means on the drop screen. He probably came pretty close to actually dropping on that screen.
Anyways, what Dimaga was doing, saving all that money, was a pretty gimmicky play, so to say. He was waiting to see if SUGGY would be aggressive, and if SUGGY was to move, he'd make a shitload of links, and then he would just crush his army and counterattack and win. Since that was not the case, he opted to make a lot of drones with those 500 minerals and drop 2 spine crawlers, which is going to keep him safe for quite a little bit. Yeah. So, pretty well thought out play there by Dimaga. Obviously not the most effective if you're going to be going for a macro game, but definitely one of the safest things you can do.
Yeah, so we can see that SUGGY has added on a couple extra gateways. He's up to 3. His Nexus is in progress. It's a little bit past half done. And he's very heavy on the sentry count. So both players are playing rather defensively at the moment. The Spine Crawlers for Dimaga so he can get his drone count up really high. SUGGY with the sentries just to be able to wall himself off against any attacks from Dimaga. Because that's what you kind of have to expect when you're playing Dimaga, is that he's going to be aggressive. So when he's not, it can catch you slightly off guard.
He's researching drop already.
Yeah.
He's researching the ventral sacks, and he will probably get started on the pretty much revised Carapace as soon as he can, I would guess. There we go. So both upgrades are going to finish at about the same time as the ventral sacks take a little longer, or twice rather. He's gearing up for a nice timing drop here.
Except he's making a Spire instead of a Roach Horn, so
strange.
He's going for mutas and upgrading drops, which is a little bit curious. He hasn't started the speed upgrade for Zerglings. There's no sign of a Hydralisk Den yet. He might be able to drop that just because it builds so quickly.
I am super confused by the fact that he dropped the Spire and he's making so many Spine Crawlers. I feel like the drop is gonna... Oh, I know. He's gonna drop and take the island. That's what he's gonna do. So he's playing for a very defensive build. His drop is not meant to be aggressive, but rather just take the island and take the extra gas. Both islands, it looks like, and get the extra gas he needs to pump as many mutas as possible. Of course, this is rather a gimmicky play. If it was used very often, it would be not very successful, because Protoss users would know to scout the island for these hatcheries. But I feel like SUGGY may not suspect much.
Yeah, however, pushing into these Spine Crawlers. Dimaga using these Queens to throw off a couple of transfusions. There's a lot of Spine Crawlers, killing quite a lot of the units of SUGGY. He does lose a lot of those Stalkers in exchange for 2 Spine Crawlers. So he really needed to back off there. Mulisk's flying into his main now, going to take down some probes. It's not a whole lot of mutas, but there are a couple more flying in to join their friends. +1 weapons upgrade is in progress for Dimaga. So things are looking pretty good for him. He just killed a bunch of Stalkers of SUGGY basically for free. Flew in the Mulisks, killed a lot of probes. And he has the top left island building, while that Overlord is still on an epic journey to the other island. To start building there as well.
And Dimaga's play is sort of risky, but not too much. He's not going to lose to any ground army. And just to clarify something, SUGGY had the right idea. SUGGY knew that Dimaga had no units by his number of Spine Crawlers. Where he was wrong was to engage that many Spine Crawlers, because you know, you don't often go against this many Spine Crawlers. But he wasn't scared of the units, which was rather impressive by him, because he just knew, like, somehow that Dimaga didn't have any units. However, he was wrong to try and take the Spine Crawlers, and now he's in a horrible position. The reason, if any reason, to not like Dimaga's build, I do like it, by the way. The only con that I see to it is if SUGGY went Blink Stalker, which he's doing now, but it might be too late now. If he opened with a Blink Stalker and maybe a Robo for Observer, which is not the strangest thing in the world, he could easily take the game.
Yeah, Blink Stalkers are actually really good on this map. There's a lot of places they can blink to. In the middle of the map, you can use these watchtowers to blink on these high ground locations to avoid Zerglings. Blinking between the 2 bases can get you to your opponent's base very, very quickly in these positions. You can see he's getting the hallucination instead of an Observer. To be able to hallucinate a Phoenix or a Colossus to get vision up that cliff for the Stalkers to blink. This sentry here has enough energy. I'm just waiting for him to hallucinate.
He's going to drop 16 Zerglings, and that's going to be quite painful for SUGGY to deal with, as his army is off position. However, once he does get the blink, and we'll see, there we go. So he's going to blink into the Dimaga's base, and this might just be a base trade. Dimaga's army way off position. And it's gonna come down to whether Dimaga can stop this or not. Of course, if he can't, he will lose. If he can, he will win, because SUGGY's economy is pretty trash right now.
Yeah.
That's Midas. Dimaga should be fine as long as he doesn't suicide many units and perhaps take back this spine crawlers to fight with his army. I would think that that's close to being game.
Yeah. Especially with the islands for Dimaga, he's going to be feeling a little bit more open to going for the base trade, as he can just rebuild from the islands, and it's going to take SUGGY a long time to rebuild himself. But here comes the Zerglings and the Mulisks. Spire Crawlers all uprooting at the same time while SUGGY's back here in the corner. He can't blink up to the high ground. He's completely backed up here. Spine Crawlers are rooting right in front of him. He's got nowhere to run. All of the Stalkers are being taken out. There's the GG from SUGGY. And Dimaga just...
by Dimaga.
Yeah, Dimaga just rolled him over. It was really well played by him.
Pretty big mistake by SUGGY engaging that early on those spine crawlers. That was definitely his doom. And really nice strategy by Dimaga, pretty inventive. I haven't seen that done before. But then again, I don't watch many replays at all. But Dimaga is very, very both creative and unpredictable. As we can see, he can just play macro game just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
we could move to go against Sock. That should be a pretty good game.
So you guys should visit root-gaming.com, because this is the Root Warzone. Just post there. Putting hits on the website helps out Root Gaming a lot as we look for sponsors. And you should support DreamHost, because they're the ones putting up the prize pool for this tournament.